Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I am going to speak about something else significant this morning, not the Parsha. I wanted to share with you that we have a Learner's Minyan on Sundays now. Primarily, it's our Learning Center students and those who have come to say Kaddish. And in the last several weeks, the children and all the members that are coming and I have been working on the art of kavanah. So kavanah is the part of prayer that we bring to the experience. It's learning to focus one's mind and not get distracted. It's learning how to infuse the words of our sages and the meditations of our soul with our own thoughts and feelings. So we have been working on this, and it was a particularly good service. It was just peaceful and focused. And at the end, I gave everyone who participated a chance to share one way that they had felt God in the room. And one of the mourners commented that she was just so touched to see this next generation learning how to be present as a community in prayer, and that she felt gratitude to watch these children growing up and learning what it means to make a minyan. And in my mind, it was contrasted with another minyan. This is something that took place when I was in San Francisco. It was an urban congregation. We were right in the middle of the city, and that meant that sometimes the homeless would join us for services and for Kiddush lunch. And in particular, there was a couple, and they came almost every week. And they were dirty, and they were smelly, and they were not mentally well. But they were there. And unfortunately, the husband passed away. And we felt it was really important to help the wife bury the man who had been beside her for over 40 years. But it was very, very difficult to get 10 people to take time out of their day to show up at the graveyard, which in San Francisco is particularly inconvenient because it's way outside of the city. But doesn't that happen here too? Don't we also have people in our congregation who are on the periphery? We don't recognize their names when the Shiva notice comes through by our email. And I'm as guilty as anyone else of not knowing everyone in the congregation or not always making the effort to reach out to those who need it the most. I think here's what goes through many of our minds when we see a Shiva notice come through the email. How can I make time for this? I have obligations to other people in my life. My employer doesn't want me to walk out of work in the middle of the day or leave early to meet this ritual obligation. And I have family. My family is counting on me to be there in the evenings. And that's true. And here's another thing that I think goes through our heads when we hear that a stranger is in need or someone who we don't know well is in need. It's going to be so awkward to show up at their home. I don't know this person. What am I going to possibly say now that could offer them comfort? Well, it turns out that the Talmud has some thoughts about what do you say. And it tells a story in Avot de Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's son has died, and many rabbis are coming to try and comfort him. And the first rabbi says, you know, even Adam lost a child. He lost Abel to violence. And the next rabbi says, even King David lost a child. He lost Absalom to treason. And the next rabbi says, look, even holy Aaron lost a child. He lost 2 children to strange fire. It's just the state of life. We lose people. The rabbi is not comforted. So then Rabbi Elazar ben Arach tells him something that does bring comfort. He says, you know, your son was a righteous person. He was a good man, and you raised him well. And that seemed to offer comfort. But it's true, it really is hard to know because people have different thoughts and feelings when they've lost someone. I will share that there is a traditional greeting. If you'd like to look at it, it's on 265. This is what people say at the end of a funeral when people line up in 2 columns for the mourners to pass through, or when mourners come on Friday night right after Lecha Dodi, that's why it's on page 265, we can say, Hamakom yenachem etchem, b'toch shar avnei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you together with all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. But it's more than knowing the right thing to say, because the truth is, you don't have to say anything. You just have to show up. In Tractate Smachot, we have the story of Rabbi Akiva, who also lost a child. And he says to the people who have gathered for the funeral, "O house of Israel, hear me. Even if my son had been a bridegroom and passed, I would still be comforted because of the honor you accorded him. I know that you troubled yourselves to come for the sake of the commandment of comforting the bereaved, as well as for the honor of the Torah. And it is therefore certain that your reward will be twofold, because I am comforted. Now go to your homes in peace." Akiva's point is that it's the community's presence that really makes a difference when we're experiencing a loss. Imagine a mourner who says, I hardly know anyone at Beth Torah, but you wouldn't believe it. So many people came to my home to offer me comfort. I felt so supported in that moment. It's particularly the strangers or the ones we know less well that we just need to show up for them. I want to share one more experience with you, and this is serving on the Chevra Kadisha. So the Chevra Kadisha, their primary task is to prepare a body for burial. And a lot of the folks that do this in our community are getting older, and it's very physical work. So they're looking for folks who are a bit younger to start learning how to perform this chesed shel emet, this truest kindness, because it's not one that the dead can pay back to us. And it's a very sad experience. It's a very startling experience. It's very peaceful, and it's very profound. It's hard not to think as you prepare this body, as you wash it and shroud it and place it in a coffin, this is someone's mother. This is someone's daughter. It's hard not to think about, someday someone will do this for the people I love. Someday someone will do this for me. It's not a mitzvah for everyone, I know, but if you think you could at all help, please speak to me and I'll be happy to share that information with the folks who need to know. In a moment of grief, it's the worst possible moment to realize that you are a person on the periphery. And it's the best possible moment for us to reach out to those and say, we are a warm and welcoming congregation. We are so sorry you're suffering this loss. We care about you. So if you can at all attend a funeral or a shiva, do so. And what's more, bring your children and your grandchildren and teach them that this is what Jews do when someone dies. We show up. It's so hard to do, but it feels so good once you've done it. And I'll add one more reason that I do it, other than that I'm professionally required to be there. This world is so full of violence and poverty and injustice, and there are days when I feel really impotent to make the world a better place, but showing up for a mourner is truly a way you can make the world a little less cold. Shabbat Shalom.